everybody, Cone Dodger here, and welcome back to Automation. Doing more fan build competition reviews today. We actually have quite a few to do today, so we're going to select 3 of the cars I review in this episode. I checked and double checked and triple checked to make sure that I got everybody, so I really hope that I did. It looks like we ended up with 24 entries to the competition. If you don't see your name or your car on here now, well, I'm sorry. I done screwed up. But hopefully I got everybody. And we are going to start with one car that I did miss earlier, and that is Zach's Griffin Rocket. Alright, here we go. This is a good looking car. It is... yeah, it's kind of the exact body that I expected, or, well, expected's a strong word, that I kind of figured a lot of people would use, because it does work really well for this category. Whale? I don't know what kind of accent that was. However, I do really enjoy the design of the car. It's pretty simple. I'm not sure if fixtures are missing in the back or not, but I would like to see a little bit more work going to this. The wing is interesting. It's a very modern wing. However, with this car and the rather smooth curves of this wing, it kind of works. You know, it flows well with the body. And this is supposed to be something special. It's not just a regular car. The front, again, is simple. However, it works very well and is shaped nicely. It's just a sleek, you know, sexy kind of looking car. And I like that a lot. Especially, I think one of my favorite parts of it is everything is nice and sleek. And then this back window is very sharp and cut down. It's a nice contrast, and it kind of makes the car stand out, so it's a good-looking car. And now moving on to the build of the car, some nice-looking stats here. 39 drivability, 37 sportiness. That's pretty competitive. One of the best I've seen. And it retains decent comfort and prestige, good safety. Looks like a low price on this guy. A little heavier than we've seen on some of these bodies, so probably steel. Yes, that is the case. It is a steel-bodied car. And we have a V6. I was actually kind of prepared for an inline-6, but it is a V6. It is a 3.1 liter V6, so pretty large. Single overhead cam, pretty complicated for a 1967 engine. Single overhead cam V6 is not very common, so this would be a pretty unique build for the era. 5,800 RPM, rev limit, 225 horsepower. Alrighty, and 134.91. That is a good time. That is a very good time. 134.91. And it 0 to 60 in 6.9. Quarter mile in a 15.1. So it's a good bottom end car. It really gets up to 60 pretty quick, and then it's kind of but yeah, that's right into the playing right into the category we kind of set up here. So this is all very good. This is a good start to the episode, setting the bar high. And then in the markets, yeah, youse. Yes, it is. We have 109 on track, 109 on track premium, 108 on light sport premium, and then a nice smattering of other categories that it's just slightly priced incorrectly for. But some of them it's actually really close, like Family Sport Premium and even Muscle. It's really close on. So, very good car. Selling it at $12,750 with only a 2% markup, but that is still quote-unquote profitable. So, this is a very stout competitor. This is indeed a great entry. I really like the looks of the car, even though it is a little bit on the simple side. It does work very well, so good use of fixtures, even though it is a little, they were used sparingly. They were used in a very wise way, and it is an extremely good performing car for a good price. So this one is indeed going to be probably one of the best ones I've seen so far. It's going to make it, setting the bar real high for the rest of the cars we do today. This is Technical AR223's Banshee Edition Metro, and back to this body, and we have a little bit more of a square-bodied version on this guy. Styling-wise, it actually reminds me a little bit more of a 70s car, I believe. Late 70s, almost early 80s. It's, yeah, I don't know. It just kind of has that look to it. I almost see maybe a little bit of Vega in it. A little bit. And the back, I think, is particularly 80s looking. Not a bad looking car, though. It's nicely done with the fixtures here. Did a good job of making the round, you know, the curved edge grille work with the square fixtures. I struggled myself getting that to work. Nice integration of the indicators there. We do have the taillight does wrap to the side, so it's a side indicator. I was told that at 68 is the year they absolutely have to have side indicators, but it's nice to be forward-thinking anyway, right? So now when I'm looking at the stats of this vehicle, I think I get the feeling that this car in its regular trim would be a little bit more of a good daily driver than probably the Intrigue is. And, you know, it's a good, you know, smooth driving car that has been pushed up to be into more of a performance car. And you see that the drivability is a 37, sportiness is 20. So there's a bigger divide there. However, the drivability is nice and high, and the divide comes with a higher comfort, 22.2, a higher prestige of 25.2, and a very high safety of 47. I have a feeling this car is going to be a little bit pricier, and it is quite a bit heavier, 25.90. So this car probably more into the luxury, I suppose, is the word I could use. Luxury sport, luxury track kind of category. Looking at the design, we got another one that doesn't have a design tab. It's probably the same body. So I will have to figure it out on my own, which is fine. I was able to do that just fine before, once I get these LUA errors out of here. Okay, well, let's look under the hood. It is a V8. It has 2 4-barrels on it. And I can actually, I didn't do this for all of the cars, but I can actually go back to the engine tab to see. It is 3.8 liters, 235 horsepower, 252 foot-pounds. Single overhead cam, I think I said that. Twin 4-barrels. So a pretty stout engine, 24 valver. And then in the suspension, looks like we got, looks like McPherson up front. And semi-trailing arm in the back. So it should be pretty good handling and pretty comfortable, which it certainly is. It is giving us that value. Let's look at the test track real quick. 136.6. That's pretty good for a car this heavy. It does make quite a lot of power. 7.3 to 60 and 15.4 quarter. So you see there that the 0 to 60 is a little slower, but the quarter is about the same as the other cars we've looked at because although it's heavy, it has a lot of grunt to it. So once it's going, once it gets all that mass going, you can, you know, keep accelerating versus some of the other ones. Once they get above 100, they kind of just peter out. This one, 132 miles per hour top speed. And yeah, that's all falling pretty much in line with what I was thinking. 1.11 G. I think I forgot to look at that the last car. I didn't need to. It was quick. 1.08 at speed. There's that weight coming into play. Not that it's a super heavy car. It's just heavier than some of the other ones we've been looking at. Curious to see why the sportiness would be lower. Understeer, oversteer is pretty bad. Brake fade pretty bad. And the body has a penalty on it for sportiness. So chassis stiffness has a penalty. So I mean, there's a lot going against it for sportiness, but it makes up for it in some of the other aspects, like the engine and the way the gearbox is laid out and stuff like that. Certainly make up for its more comfort setup, which, I mean, good comfort score on that guy. And we do get to go to the markets, and you can see it does cover a different kind of market than the Intrigue does and some of the other cars. And it's okay because it still does very good in these markets. 92 and 62 in muscle, so maybe a little expensive for muscle. Family Sport Premium, it does well in 81 and 80. Sport Budget, it's kind of okay in. It's still a little, it's either a little too pricey. Yeah, it must be. And then Track Premium, it's a good value, but it's not quite as competitive. So a car that is maybe struggling a little bit in cost as far as markets go, but is performing quite well. So there we have it, Tactical's Banshee Edition Metro. Good car, very much so on theme, perhaps in a little bit of a different category, and it kind of pushes itself into a different category even than we saw in like Cooper's car or the Datsun bodied cars. This is more towards the luxury sport side. Those are more towards the premium coupe side. So there is a distinction there. There is a difference. This car obviously has a lot more practicality and utility to it than those did. So it's a completely separate subcategory of the theme that we're trying to build. And no marks against it for that. It does quite well in that category. So good build, tactical, and now it's time to move on to another one. Now we have P-Van-P's Madra Edge. Looks like an interesting car here. I like the Rallye-esque styling of it. Has some interesting hood bumps there. We'll see what's under that hood bump. I like the detail in the front end. This kind of vent thing that goes down the front fender is a cool little touch. The indicators that are kind of morphed into the fender as well. I can see what you were doing with the crosses over the headlight. That's a neat idea, and I will use my imagination to tell me that those go all the way across. The fog lights in the grille are cool. It's kind of like, it draws a little bit of inspiration from like a BMW 2002, just a little bit taller, and I like it. It looks good. It's a good use of this body. It's a tough one to do that kind of stuff with. In the back, it has a nice design. It's detailed. Lots of reverse lights. You must really want people to know you're going backwards. More BMW kind of influence there with the center offset exhaust. Good looking back. It's got that spoiler on there that I always like to see. I think people, either everybody likes that or people know that I like that. What should I call these? The technical specs of the car. 24.1 drivability, 30 sportiness, so we have a higher sportiness than drivability here. That is very much so in line with the spirit of a track car. No comfort to speak of. Prestige is decent, safety is pretty good. Looks like the cost is going to be low. Weight down in the 2100s. Does the design tab work on this one? It does not. So it is indeed, there is indeed a bug with this particular body that makes this not work, which is a shame, but we're able to work around it. So much to my surprise, this is a V8 engine in this guy. I kind of expected a 4-cylinder or 6-cylinder, but it's a V8, 3.2 liters, 198 horsepower, 198 foot-pounds of torque, and it's a single red cam carbureted engine. Looks like dual singles maybe? Yeah, it looks like what it is. So a somewhat restricted, small, probably, easy maintenance kind of engine. At the test track, it has a 0 to 60 of 7.5, a 15.7 quarter mile, 128 top speed, and good cornering, 1.22 and 1.14. So we should expect a good time here. A good time indeed, 134.9. A lot of cars in that 134 bracket now. Some are faster, but most of the faster ones are the other style of body. So this is one of the fastest of the regular coupes that I have seen. And let's see how it does in the markets. In the markets, we have a new category here for these cars. It is Pony, Track Premium, and Track. Very much so kind of in the same category as what we've been looking at, but sneaks over into that Pony category. It looks like it's a little priced out of Pony, but yeah, Track and Track Premium, it's good. At $10,200, it's a bargain. Probably one of the cheaper cars we've had. Actually, I think there's been a couple other $10,200 cars. But this one slides into some other categories, I believe. It's actually doing okay in family sport as well. So, well marketed indeed. And it's a relative bargain. You know, there's some cars that have slotted like above where the Intrigue Rallye is, and there's some that have slotted in below it. And that's not to say they're not on theme, they're just on theme, but in a different price bracket. And that works quite well and does good to set your car, you know, into its own market in the competition. And just so you know, as we go to the finals, that's going to become a little bit more important. But we will discuss more of that in the finals episode. Alright, that is P Van P's Madra Edge. Good car, good performance. I like the styling of it quite a lot, and you guys are going to make this really tough on me. Next up we have Tom, different Tom this time. Tom's Mini, anyway, Mini Rallye 2. I like what you did there, Rallye. Very creative, and we have another interesting looking car here. I really like the Rallye influence on the front with all of the lights in the grille. Actually does look a little mini-ish. And then using square headlights, one of the only square headlighted cars we've seen in this competition. Maybe a little ahead of their time. In the back, interesting design here. You know, it's got a little bit of that shoebox kind of shape to it where the roof just ends. And then the back is just this little appendage onto the body. It's kind of got that British European kind of flair to it, that look. Using these Miata taillights to great effect. These work very well for this body, and you've oriented them in a way that they do look era correct. So props to you for that. Overall, maybe not my personal taste for design. However, it is well designed for the look you are going for. There is a distinction there. And then what's really important, though, is what's under the body. And what we have here is something that I have been waiting for. I really anticipated people trying this, but this is the first. This is a front-wheel drive car, and is a front-wheel drive car with a 4-cylinder, as you may expect. Has a drivability of 41, sportiness 23, really no comfort to speak of. Really no prestige to speak of. Decent safety, but a very low cost. Very low cost. That, I think, could be what sets this car apart from the competition, if it does perform well enough. And, of course, being this body, we don't have a design tab on it. However, we know how to get around that now. We can see that it is a 1.599, might as well be 1.6 liter inline 4, 16 valve, single overhead cam, carbureted. Obviously, good performance, 132 horsepower, 110 foot-pounds. It looks like it is a Rever 6500, but makes all of its power up top. So pretty much a rally car, not a rally car. This is something you would probably want to take off-road. On the test track, it's pretty sporty for having that smaller engine up in the front. What was the weight of it? 1669. One of the lightest cars we have seen, for sure. And then 7.90 to 60. A quarter mile, 16.3. So a little bit slower on the top end at only 106 top speed. This is another one of those cars that's really good in the tight technical stuff. We'll see how it does on the track with that. Good handling, 1.17 and 1.13. It's going to be an interesting car. I'm very curious how this thing markets, but first we need to run it on the track. And 140, that's about in the upper percentage of the times. That was pretty much expected. Like I said, this is a car that handles the tight technical stuff very well. Not so much the fast stuff. So let me write that down real quick. 140.43. However, you can do that at probably a bargain. Let's see. And yes, by far the cheapest car we have seen. Good scores in track budget, good scores in track, and good scores in light sport. And at $8,466, like I said, a bargain, an absolute bargain. What a great job of demonstrating how to do this kind of themed build, but with a car that is significantly cheaper. So you stayed perfectly on theme, I believe, but went for a very unique take on it and the more budget category of this car. And I think you've done a good job of separating yourself kind of from the herd by doing that. I will be curious to see if there's any more front-wheel drive entries, because it would be interesting to have something to compare your car to. But even if there's not, I am definitely giving you my personal score in my brain, high marks for doing something different and doing it very well. Next up we have Aaron, or Corvette 6317, which is a name you should probably be familiar with because it does some very good mods for automation, some good bodies and stuff, so I am interested in seeing how this car looks because I expect it to be pretty good. And body-wise, it looks like we have some Datsun in here, but a different kind of Datsun. It's more 510 inspired. I like the front end a lot. It works very well. It's very smooth and sleek, and reminds me a little bit of that 72-ish Celica, which I really love the front end of that car too. So overall, good job there. I like this hood scoop on this guy. And then around the back, nice detail back here as well. The bars over the taillights and everything like that. That's a nice little Rallye touch as well. I like all that. Nice detail for the license plate. Overall, it's not the most, ornately designed body, but it's very well designed, and I like it in the sedan form too. Now, is this the one? No, this one does have a design tab, so we get full reign on looking at this one. But first, it has a drivability of 24, sportiness of 35, comfort 5.5, prestige 15, safety 25. That's a little low. And cost, it looks a little high. It's lightweight, very practical sedan. It is steel and steel. It is rear-wheel drive. Let's look under the body. Ooh, fancy, fancy, fancy. There's your cost right there. 4.3 liter cross-plane V8 with DCOE. That is the first of that too. Very cool engine. 246 horsepower out of a 4.3 liter V8. Yowzas. This thing should be pretty quick. It has double wishbone front. It has a solid rear axle coil, so it should be fast in a straight line. I mean, this is definitely a very stout engine, even though it's OHV. It's got some power, even if it makes it lower. 6.2 to 60. That's actually a little higher than I expected, probably due to wheel spin. But then on the quarter mile, it starts to fly, 14.3, and 141 top speed. Very good in the corners, 1.26 Gs, and then 1.18 at speed, so lots of grip down low at the lower speeds. It might hurt it a little bit on the airfoil track here, but 1.18 is still pretty good as well for at speed. And let's find out. A quick look of my notes shows me that this is the fastest car we have had so far. 131.84. That's flying. That top speed and real good, kind of high-end power. Not that it revs high, but it has a lot of power in its, power band to get it going, keep it going, versus some of the smaller four cylinders and 6 cylinders. Does really well, and that 1.26 G really helps it out in the slow bits too. So a really, really fast car. But let's see how it markets. It's a little pricey. 17,955 is also the most expensive car we have had. So this is probably track premium, and yes, it does very well in track premium. But then it kind of only does well in track premium. A little bit in track and a little bit in light sport premium. But basically putting all of the eggs into the Track Premium basket, and it's doing very well at that. But it's a little bit of a more narrow marketed car. So, despite being a sedan and despite having a unique engine, this is probably one of the closest competitors so far to the Intrigue Rallye. The price is higher at $17,000. That is the range that our car was in. So this is probably one of the first I've seen well done expensive cars that really does well at staying in the competition. So that again makes things more difficult for me as this decision is looming. We still got a few cars to go, but this one, a very stout competitor. It's well styled. It's well built. Has some cool features in it. You know, it took some risks with a unique engine setup and the sedan body, and have made probably a more practical and faster version than the Intrigue Rallye. So this is definitely a stout competitor right here. So thanks for your entry, Corvette, and thanks for all you do for, you know, the automation kind of community. Lots of cool mods coming out from your camp.